No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good afternoon, Winnipeg. Good afternoon, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this afternoon on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good afternoon, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss a come-from-behind victory by the Winnipeg Jets, the remain perfect on the season Winnipeg Jets. 6-3, they come back to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins this afternoon. Bryan Little Appreciation Day certainly was appreciated by those who were in attendance, and we appreciate you joining us here on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now. Dave Manouk, good to see you again on this Sunday afternoon. A lot of emotion in the building to start, a little bit of a letdown early in the second period, but a lot of emotion to end an all-around great afternoon and great homestand for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Drew. I mean, it started from, an hour and 15 minutes before the game got underway officially, and we heard from Bryan Little. He had a chance to come back, and he's not a guy, he said in the media availability, he doesn't like the focus to be on him. Interesting career choice to be a professional hockey player where the eyes are only on you, but he got to be the focus of attention in Winnipeg. And as we discussed on yesterday's show, he didn't really get that chance, obviously based on the injury, not knowing what his health status would be after 2019. And then of course, with COVID, there was really kind of that missed opportunity for fans to get to acknowledge him, for him to be able to thank the fans. And we saw that in a variety of ways throughout the course of, as I said, the media availability, then throughout the course of the game, whether you're watching on TV or, of course, in the building. Really, really nice standing ovation. Him coming out in Heritage Classic gear, that was pretty awesome. Apparently that he said, apparently that was his idea, which is, I thought, pretty good idea. So nice for him to do that. And I don't know if folks who were, well, I should hope all the folks, but everyone who, of course, read the morning papers today would have seen Bryan Little facing off against Sidney Crosby. So very nice to see him and Sidney Crosby once again facing off at center ice. And then, of course, with his wife and young daughter in attendance. So that's a memory, and his family as it was there. They were in the Matt Frost Media Center, so they got a chance to, you could see some wiping away tears from the family, knowing, how important it was. And it was just nice. It was nice to hear his connection to the city of Winnipeg, connection still to the team. And it's funny because I'd asked him in the media availability about, being that connection, how does he still follow the team? And he said, I'm just like any other fan. And then, it was rather appropriate because when Adam Lowry scored the go-ahead goal, which turned out to be the game-winning goal, there they pan to Bryan Little, and he's standing up cheering and excited just like every other fan. So a really nice focus on him. And you're kind of thinking, well, that's nice that they got the win. Of course, the wins are obviously the most important thing, but nice on a day like today that they're able to celebrate it, both, celebrate him being in the building, but also celebrating the win.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the Jets, I'll give them full credit. I'll give the organization full credit. They're getting really good at those sort of ceremonies. I mean, acknowledging the past, acknowledging the players. They're getting really good at hitting the right tone with their pregame celebrations. And it's not always easy to do. Sometimes it can come across as a little insincere. Sometimes it can come across as a little overwrought. The Jets are getting really good at not having it be either of those things. I thought this one hit the right note, hit the right tone. When Little came out and did the pregame skate, and he said his only goal was to not trip and not run into any of the guys, I thought that was pitch perfect. Not the music, not the movie, but it's a good movie nonetheless. I just thought the Jets and that the start, the pregame, the whole festivities, the day in honor of Bryan Little, I thought the organization deserves kudos for really getting the right tone to that. And then you move to the ice, to the on-ice performance, because that's ultimately what matters the most. And to me, by my estimation, Dave, this is a more impressive of the 5 victories this year. And I mean, you can probably throw away the game against Chicago and the game against San Jose, even the game against Minnesota. But to me, this is actually a more impressive victory than the one against Edmonton to start the year. And I'll tell you why. The Jets, even after being down 2 goals, didn't change their game.
Right.
They didn't change how they want to approach. They didn't change how they want to move forward in the game. They didn't start chasing. They didn't fall on bad habits. We saw Scott Arniel gather the team in that TV timeout, and he addressed them. And I assume that he would have used a couple of colorful words that might make Mark Scheifele blush a little bit, because we know Scheifele doesn't like those words. But Scott Arniel really refocused them and gathered their attention. And then from then on out, despite being down 2 goals, the Jets really found their game and ultimately end up taking it by that 6-3 margin. But to me, that ability, really when you're halfway through the game at that point in time and things aren't going great for you and you're struggling and the Penguins have all the momentum, the Jets and their ability to stay focused and stay structured. And I know everyone's laughing at how often I use that word structure, but Jets to me in that last half of the game, their ability to come back and their ability to stay consistent was really impressive and made this victory the most impressive victory of the 5 early this season by my estimation.
Well, I mean, I'm giving you a shout out for sneaking that Pitch Perfect reference in, and I heard it. Didn't want to interrupt your flow, but figured when you'd stop, I'd give you kudos for throwing that one into the mix. But I think, look, if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you're not happy with the start in the second period because Pittsburgh took it to you. You're not happy with the start in the third period because Pittsburgh took it to you. But you're happy with the answer, and to your point, Drew, you're happy with the fact that you tried to you didn't panic. You stayed within the structure of the game plan, at least from how it appeared to us.
Yeah.
And so you do like the fact that they were able to, ride it out because, and the other thing we should mention, because it's worth mentioning, I thought was Eric Comrie was very good in this
very good
game.
I tweeted about that or X'd about that, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. No, you can't say I X'd about it.
Nah.
You tweeted about it. I mean, it's fine, but it's not a huge deal, but I just thought Eric Comrie was excellent. And I know that, there's a lot of Eric Comrie deniers in this world. I am not one of them. Right. I thought within the structure, I mean, I've covered him since he was a wee lad, but the fact of the matter is, not the Tri-City Americans wee lad, but, relatively young. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that, within the structure, within this comfort, I mean, this was his first start in a Jets uniform since May 1st, 2022. We'll give Ezzy credit, because Ezzy is the guy who predicted, you and I believe, are on the same page. We did not think Eric Comrie would get his first start. Ez did think that it was going to be Comrie's first start. So credit to Ezzy for saying that on yesterday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show. But I just thought, I thought it was a curious decision, especially because not only did they make that the choice, they also pulled Hayden Fleury out of the lineup, put Logan Stanley in. They took Rasmus Kupari out. They put David Gustafsson in. Now, Scott Arniel had said, I'm not planning on, keeping guys on the shelf too long. When they're ready to go, we're going to get them in so we can keep guys, especially with the pace of games coming at them upcoming, Drew, that he was going to try and get those guys in. Now, that's easy to say. It's another thing when you're 4-0 to start changing, mixing the formula. Well, he did, and it seemed to work, especially, like I said, Eric Comrie, I thought, was very good when he needed to be, and made some real nice saves. And you got to give credit to his teammates. Josh Morrissey made a nice save for him. Yeah. Mark Scheifele made a nice save for him. So his teammates bailed him out, but I just thought he also bailed them out when there were some laissez-faire plays. And the other guy I got to mention, Drew, as a collective thought throughout the course of this game, I thought Kyle Connor was excellent in this hockey game.
Especially defensively. That's what I'm talking about. Noticeable.
That's what I mean, offense, we always, you take it for granted what he does offensively, but I thought his backtracking was excellent today. His defensive play, you could say, well, they lost the puck. Sure. But he came back into the zone, stole the puck, turned it up ice. And I just thought he just played with a fire today. And I was impressed even on that last play, I think in the second period where Sidney Crosby, he tries to keep it in the zone, going up against Crosby, who knows a few tricks. And he makes sure
a little too casual at first there with that one.
Sure, but my point is that he didn't just kind of lay it up. He was aggressive, and he stayed with number 87, which isn't exactly an easy thing to do.
Well said on all three, on all aspects for you. Eric Comrie, to me, that's been a big question this offseason. That Connor Hellebuck is going to be Connor Hellebuck by and large. You expect that. But those 20 games, whatever the number ends up being, for argument's sake, let's say 20, where it's good, needs to be the backup goalie. it was a big question mark. We weren't
Yeah.
sure what you were going to get. If Eric Comrie can perform like this, and yes, he gives up the 3 goals, and 3 goals against is never a good number for a goalie to have, but the save percentage is terrific in tonight's game. And more than that, to me, he looked comfortable in that.
Yep.
He looked comfortable. Even this is his first NHL action back in Winnipeg in a long time. It's his first NHL action in a long time, forgetting the preseason because that doesn't count. So to me, if Eric Comrie can all of a sudden come in and give you similar quality of goaltending to what he gave you last time he was the backup to Connor Hellebuck before he signed with the Buffalo Sabres, the Jets are going to be sitting very pretty with him and very comfortable with him as the backup goaltender. There is, the comfortable aspect of it, the familiarity of it all, really might be an asset. It might be a positive for this Jets team and this Jets organization. That's why I think to some extent why Eric Comrie won the job in the preseason. Kaapo Kähkönen really didn't take advantage of the opportunity that was sitting in front of him there. And Comrie, he's comfortable. The players know him. The players like him. They want to, think that Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele want to do everything they can to make Eric Comrie's life a little bit easier? Of course they do. They do for any goaltender. I'm not saying it's specifically for Comrie, but the familiarity and the close-knit aspect of him with those guys make it so that you want to help out your brother just a little bit more. And I thought Comrie was great tonight, and probably the Jets management team and the coaching staff are really got a breathing a sigh of relief there as they get set to deal with Eric Comrie as their goaltender moving forward. We're awaiting Scott Arniel in the Matt Frost Media Center. We'll bring him to you coming up any minute now here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, courtesy of our friends at Play Now.
What about, I don't know if you noticed, Drew, but I chuckled at one point when you were talking. I was listening, but Dan Robertson gave a little response, TSN play-by-play voice, to your tweet about our boy Timmy, who Drew noticed was on the broadcast, featured on the broadcast. Drew said it's got a lot more handsome on the TV broadcast.
I just saw Dan Robertson
said, and I quote, "No argument here." So Dan giving a little throwing a little shade at IC.
It was funny. I don't know. Yeah, it was just a funny coincidence. It just happened. I was watching that.
When was that, by the way?
Hang on. Here's Scott Arniel.
I spoken recently with another NHL coach who talked about just how hard it is to kind of, get consistency. It's a buy-in every night. It's really difficult to play defense and all those kind of things. And Eric Comrie just talked about, he's been around about the buy-in and how unusual the level of buy-in is that this team has. You've been with a lot of different teams. How do you kind of describe what you get from your team as far as buy-in?
Yeah, like you said, it's a long season, and it's hard to get guys to, continually do it every night. But the biggest thing is, I've said about the buy-in, is that the results that come from, especially how we defend. And I talk about defending, I'll always talk about it isn't just on our end of the rink. It's how hard we track. It's how hard we attack loose pucks in the offensive zone, how we're sort of dog on a bone all the time trying to get it back. That's the part there where the rewards come from, and that's us having possession, us going to play offense, us being able to put our skill on display. And that's pretty much what we keep trying to preach, is that when we don't have it, go get it so that you can play offense, and that's the fun part of the game.
Speaking of defense, quite often your victories, even if the other team scores first, look like you kind of saying, okay, shut it down, no more goals. You slowly work your way back into the game. This one looked a little bit different. What does it say about your team and the variety of different ways they're able to win a hockey game?
That was a pretty sloppy second for us. We hadn't had a full 20 minutes like that, where we've had some stretches, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes times, where in some of the games where we got away from what we wanted to do. I thought that period we turned pucks over. We probably, in my opinion, overhandled, and we lost some puck battles. Just spent more time trying to chase and get the puck back than we did, in the other two periods. And, we got back to it. Actually, before I go about the third period, that 6-on-5 goal and then the 4-on-4 goal, that like all of a sudden we weren't great in that period, but we found a way to get ourselves back into it. Then I thought in the third period we come out and played the way we needed to play.
There are seems to be two operating theories on how you guys got back into that game. One is they played the Bryan Little video or gave him the ovation. The other was you giving a little bit of what looked like a chewing out to your guys on the bench.
Oh, no, they were just reminders. That's all that
was. What did you have to remind them about in that moment?
A lot of what I just said. We were, we weren't real good we weren't real crisp with our plays that we were with the puck. The one thing about Pittsburgh, they have a lot of veteran, a lot of guys that know how to play. They strip pucks really well, and I thought they did a really good job of that. We were trying to be cute with some of the plays that we were making, and it was really more about execution and then also our compete. I thought they owned our net front in that second period, and a few of the battles on the walls and in the corners. That was kind of the area for me that they kind of went after us. I'm sure that Sully had something to say to them after the first period because we were all over them, and they certainly were the better group in the second. But we found a way to come out of that period like we did, and that's a good sign for any hockey team.
Scott, what was if there was an internal battle with yourself over just the decision to make some lineup changes? You probably normally don't like to change a winning lineup, but you also don't want to let guys sit too long. So just maybe take us through that process.
Yeah, the big thing first with Stan was that he was progressing. He's been going here for the last few practices, and I wanted to get him a home game before we got out on the road, and so he could feel comfortable here. Obviously comms, we needed to make that sooner than later. We had to get him in there so that obviously we know what's coming down the road with the schedule with Helly. And then Gus, I don't want anybody coming out of training camp and I'd be sitting there for a while. I wanted to get him in and get him a look at him. So it's I don't know if it's ever the right time, or the wrong time, I guess. I just wanted to get them in. I thought at home here, an afternoon game, some fresh legs, just an opportunity to do it.
And how would you assess specifically Eric's performance? A lot of shots. I think they ended up over north of 40, which is a bit unusual for your group to give up that many shots. Yeah, it is. It's also a trait of Pittsburgh. They're a shot volume group, and that's something they've done for a number of years. They've put a lot of pucks to that blue paint, and then they try to go to work there. And he was great. The first two goals are open nets, kind of our breakdowns that led to that. But at the end of the day, we're going to rely. I need to rely on him lots this year because of the Four Nations Cup, the compact schedule that we have. So, really liked what I saw. He seems composed. There's a lot of scrambles around him, pucks kind of around, and he found a way to find those loose pucks. And great to see.
Scott, what Bryan Little means to the organization. What was it like to have him, involved and see him honored the way that
was great. Obviously, first time kind of doing it that way for the organization and having a guy in equipment and skating out there. He was extremely nervous. It was unbelievable. A guy that's played that long, but he was really nervous about the whole night. That his wife and daughter could be here to celebrate with him. It was. I thought it was a great tribute. And then we all saw the. Him up in the press box or up in the suite there and speaking again and getting the ovation. That was great from our fans to be able to recognize him, and I'm sure he's pretty appreciative of it.
Nikolai Ehlers was a big part of that second period of, he drew a penalty with an assist to Kyle Connor, the 2-1 with Nemesnikov. What were your thoughts on Nikolai's game tonight?
Well, he's talked about him there when we talked at the start of the year. He's a game breaker. He's a guy that offensively that, we have weapons, but when other teams if they ever forget about Nick, that he's on the ice, that he usually burns them, and he has such speed and quickness that opens up lanes and opportunities for other guys. And he's done this a couple of games now where he's used his explosiveness to kind of either pull away from people or get out of corners, or whether it's his speed down the wing. Like you said, he drew a penalty on the one. Just at the end of the day, when he's up and running like that, he's a tough weapon. He's a great weapon for us. He's tough to defend.
Neil Pionk was quite aggressive tonight, joining the rush a couple of instances, some nice defensive plays. What's it like for you to see Neil? It seems to be playing, some of his best hockey and really an attacking mindset in the first 5 games.
Yeah, I think it's been the 5 games. I think he's been really good. He had a great game the other night as well. For him, he's always had the offensive tools, and we've always preached here about about our D being a part of the offense, and it's something that like I said, it's part of his DNA, and he likes to do it. He takes a lot of pride defensively too, and I think that He's a real good, solid, guy that you can rely on, two-way defenseman. But when he has that offensive side and jumps, he's taking a lot of pride in the power play, that second unit, and making sure that they're, we're a two-headed sword there, kind of with both units going out there. And he's a big part of that, being the quarterback on the top. And he's got confidence right now in his game, and you'd love to see that. All right, thanks, guys. Yep.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel, joining us courtesy of the good folks in the Matt Frost Media Center, and our buddy Colby Spence, photographer, videographer extraordinaire, as he talks about the Jets' 6-3 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins, 5-0 on the season now for the Winnipeg Jets, a perfect 4-0 homestand as the team heads out on the road for the next 3 in St. Louis, Seattle, and Calgary over the next 6 days or thereabouts. Really impressive victory for the Winnipeg Jets this afternoon, Dave. Let's break it down goal by goal. We do it on the Play Now game recap.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. No goals through the first 20 minutes of tonight's contest. The Jets, I would say, were the better of the two teams, at least early on in that first period. A number of key saves by Alex Nedeljkovic, getting his first
He was very
start.
good too, by the way.
Yeah, certainly early in the game, he was very good. Diminishing returns, I thought he maybe wore down a little bit, got a little tired as the game went on, given that it was his first NHL action of the season. And we know that, as we talked about on yesterday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show, goaltending has been a huge area of concern for the Penguins so far. Tristan Jarry didn't even dress for tonight's game. The purported to be, number one goaltender of the Penguins. He got the whole day off altogether. Joel Blomqvist was the backup to Nedeljkovic, and Nedeljkovic made a number of nice saves early in that first period. Jets caught iron as well to keep it 0-0 after 20 minutes.
They did, and as you said, Drew, it was an interesting start because I thought Winnipeg came out. Sometimes these games can be a bit sleepy, and you're feeling good about yourself, but they didn't look that way. They looked like both teams, I thought, had early chances, and both goalies had to be good to start. To the point you just made, that Eric Comrie, I thought, was sharp. Nedeljkovic was sharp. Both guys made some nice stops early in the game. Jets had a bit of a shot advantage. I think it was like 4-1 off I think Nino Niederreiter could have had a hat trick, it seemed like, but all those guys had chances. So that was a good thing for them. But again, it was more just the goaltenders were into it and the players were into it from the start. But yeah, it wasn't, it's interesting, right? We talk about 0-0 first periods, or periods, I should say, and sometimes they can be low event and not very exciting. It's interesting though to watch these teams now, right? Especially we talk about the Penguins on Saturday's show, and we're not going to pretend to be Penguin experts. We don't live in Antarctica, so it's not a function of that. It's a function of that, you get a chance to see them. Crosby still, I was talking after the game with someone, he's still spectacular. He's not as dominant.
To see Crosby in the building.
No, absolutely. There's no question, especially when Jets 1.0 fans will remember many a night Mario Lemieux or Jaromir Jagr took nights off to not come to Winnipeg. So when you see Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin in the building, still exciting to see. And lots of Penguins fans that were in the house. So I didn't see what the final attendance was. It seemed like I would guess it was a sellout.
Or 13 and change. It wasn't quite a sellout.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, it was about so it was 13,760, which is a little bit lower. But our buddy Scott Billick gave some context, saying that the fourth home game of the year last year, I think this one had about 3,500 more people than the fourth home game last year. So you compare it to the fourth home game last year, a better attendance, but I'm a little surprised as well. I thought it would have been closer to 14,500, 14,800, albeit it is a beautiful day outside. Yeah,
it was a spectacular day. But anyways, getting back to the Penguins. So look, Carlson, he looked interesting. Like, he made some nice plays early, but to that idea, Drew, of diminishing returns, it started to get a little bit worn down a little bit, I thought. And yeah, it's an interesting mix. Like Kevin Hayes, I mean, it's funny how we talked about Kevin Hayes yesterday, and then he scores the first goal of the game. But it just doesn't seem like this Penguins team has much of a I don't know what the word is. It's like, I don't want to say mantra, but like they just don't seem to have an identity.
It's hard for them to keep it together for 60 minutes is what I've seen so far.
I know, like, they cheat the game a little bit. Like Malkin, there were
fair.
a number of opportunities where I saw Malkin like hanging around the blue line looking for that break. I mean, it resembled me playing beer league, to be honest with you, looking for that pass. But I just didn't think that they had a lot of depth in that lineup, and it was pretty evident. And like I said, there were some nice individual plays and some obviously very nice individual players, but that Penguins team just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to mix it up with the big boys in the East, at least to my mind. And so, yeah, like we talked about, and on the show, they seem to do well against the lesser opponents, and they just can't seem to do well against the ones that are upper echelon, or whatever you want to call them, however you want to reference the Carolinas, the Rangers. Yeah, like you said,
structure. That's what I said yesterday. Same thing we said yesterday, that they lose their structure playing against teams with structure, because that seems to be how it's been through the first 7 games of the season for the Penguins so far. They do open the scoring though, and that's in the second period. It's on the power play. This with Colin Miller in the box. He takes that slashing penalty late in the first period, and with a mere number of seconds left on the power play opportunity, a great pass from Rickard Rakell, who spots Kevin Hayes, and Hayes, very veteran guy at the end of his career, but he still knows how to put the puck in the net, finds some soft ice, and Rakell hits him with a perfect pass. Absolutely no chance for Eric Comrie on this one. Perfect pass, great shot, and the Penguins lead 1-0 a minute 30 into the second period.
Yeah, and like you said, Drew, I mean, we can say that Kevin Hayes isn't the player that he used to be, which I don't think is a misstatement, especially when he was traded by the Winnipeg Jets. But at the same time, he's still able to tap in a puck like that. And, it's a bit of an unfortunate situation because the Jets, I thought, had, possession and they could have cleared the puck, and they didn't. And so, they get burnt because at that point it looked like I said, Josh Moore. I also think it's a veteran move by, I think it was Lars Eller, because Eller just slightly interferes with Josh Morrissey, because Josh Morrissey is taking the puck in front of Eric Comrie. Bit of a dangerous play. Josh Morrissey is a pretty damn good skater, but he takes that puck in front. Again, like I said, high risk, but if he's able to clear it, then it's not as big a deal. And then, it's just a perfect pass by Rakell over to Kevin Hayes, who's, Eric Comrie has no chance. But that was just I thought, again, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain it looked like Eller just got a little piece of Morrissey as he was cutting across to try and clear that puck. And, you get burnt, but that's what happens with high risk plays, right? So we'll see. Or it could have been that he just lost an edge. Either way, the Jets get burnt by it and they're down 1-0, which is unfortunate in the sense that they played a really good first period. Neither team obviously got rewarded, but the Jets I thought were the better of the two teams. And now you're finding yourself down. But the credit was to the building was that the fans were still into it, even though they were down 1-0.
Well, the Pens make it 2-0 about 4 minutes later, just under 4 minutes later. Lars Eller gets his third. He always seems to score against the Winnipeg Jets. He was very good. It was a battle of the Danes. The Danes put on a show.
Exactly.
Between Eller and Ehlers today.
Yeah.
This is Lars Eller, his first of the game, his third of the season. A little bit of foreshadowing there if you didn't already know what happened in today's game. He gets another one. Erik Karlsson with the shot from the point that the Pens win a good board battle. Cody Glass back to Karlsson. Karlsson gets it through. And, David Gustafsson, I think, is supposed to have Lars Eller here. He sort of loses him. And then Eller is just left all alone in front of Eric Comrie. And he makes no mistake in going backhand to beat the Jets goaltender and give the Penguins the 2-0 lead at the 5:21 mark of the second period.
Yeah. And I think, again, it was a bit of a chaotic, excuse me, Drew.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a chaotic play there. Because you're right, everybody's along the wall or along the boards, I should say. And, there's an opportunity to get that puck out. You don't. And now, once again, there's a little bit of a chaos there. Now, did it hit Iafallo's stick and go to Eller? I think it did. But ultimately, like I said, even though the Penguins collectively aren't the most dynamic group, they still have some very good hockey players and some guys who can find the back of the net. And Lars Eller is a perfect example of that. And so, yeah, it's just the Jets were caught watching a little bit. And, I don't know at what point in the shift it was. But like I said, Karlsson makes a nice shot, tries to get it on net. And then, whether it's Pionk or Gustafsson, someone's got to take Eller in front. They don't. He's wide open. And then it's very hard for Eric Comrie to try and make that stop. He doesn't. And they find themselves down 2-0.
Well, and here's the TSN turning point at this point. The Penguins get the 2-0 lead, and they don't rest on their laurels. They continue to push against the Winnipeg Jets, and the Jets can't even get it out of their own zone. It's a struggle for the Jets to do anything positive.
They looked like they were running in concrete.
That's right. Absolutely. And then what happens is
Wet
that
concrete.
what happens is Vlad Nemesnikov is able to break the puck out after the Jets had been hemmed in, and then on a delayed penalty. So Nemesnikov relieves the pressure by getting it out of the zone. The Penguins are about to be penalized. The ref's arm is up in the air. The Jets get the extra skater onto the ice as Comrie skates to the bench and Kyle Connor jumps on. And then the Jets have the 6-on-5 advantage in the Penguin zone. Colin Miller with a nice pass to Nikolai Ehlers, and then Ehlers moves around in the Penguins defensive zone, and with that great vision that he has, he sees Connor, the guy who's come off the bench as the extra attacker. He sees Kyle Connor, feeds him a great seam pass. Connor makes no mistake in beating Nedeljkovic. It felt for everybody like it was about to be 3-0 for the Penguins. Instead, what's happened? It's now 2-1, and the Jets, who played a pretty terrible first 10 minutes of the second period, are all of a sudden cut the lead in half, and they're only down by a goal after a great play by Vlad Nemesnikov. He's not on the score sheet, of course, on it, but he starts to play in the Jets zone. Then Ehlers and Miller and Connor with his fourth of the year to make it 2-1 for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Drew, and it's funny, right? Because we talk about it so often where guys don't get credit for a play, right? You don't get an assist, fine. We throw out plus minus, so you know Nemesnikov isn't going to get that reward. But for what he does, that goal doesn't go in the back of the net. And what you're saying is there was a very good chance it could have been 3-0. Instead, the Jets, completely changed the nature of the hockey game. And as Stu's saying there in the comments, it was the game changer, right? Because you could feel like it was 2-0, and now there's no pushback at that point, right? It's 2-0, right. And now you're like, now they're coming at you again in waves. You're not pushing back. You're not trying to regain the momentum in this hockey game. That's a problem. And instead, again, I'm not saying 3-0 is insurmountable, especially against the Penguins, but I just don't. It wasn't going to look good. It wasn't going to bring any life to that building. Instead, the delayed penalty call. And these guys continue to push. And I thought Ehlers was really good in this hockey game. And he made some real nice plays, especially, like you said, and Kyle Connor's shot is just lethal, which we've talked about. It's already his fourth goal of the season. He picked up where he left off last season to start the year, where he was just putting in the puck in the back of the net. And we were saying, is Kyle Connor on pace for 60 this year? And it seemed reasonable. Of course, we weren't talking about it this early in the season, Drew. We were talking about it a little bit later when he had whatever it was, like 18 goals in 20 games or something like that. Some stupid number. But the fact is, Kyle Connor's shot is just so good that, when he gets that pass, and you can't undersell that pass, because that pass by Ehlers, so quick,
so great.
But what is one of the things we've talked about for this Jets hockey team? One of the keys is not taking too long to make decisions. And I thought that was another example of them, moving the puck around well, setting up, and then, spotting Connor, who finds, again, just a smart player who can find open ice so well and does it. And then, of course, makes it a 2-1 game and just changes the entire nature of that hockey game.
Well, when you're playing with confidence like the Jets are, the game slows down for you. So you're able to make those bang-bang decisions, but because they don't seem bang-bang necessarily to you on the ice. The game's a little bit slower. It feels as though you can process at the speed you want to process at, and you saw that from Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers there. The Jets tie it up, and reset the whole game, rewrite, as they say in the media world sometimes, or in the journalism world to be more specific. 5 minutes and 18 seconds later, Mark Scheifele, his fifth of the year, assist to Colin Miller. So Miller getting his second assist of the game, and Logan Stanley gets on the board. But it starts again. It starts with a great play by Gabe Vilardi winning a board battle. So Vilardi goes in, he wins the board battle. The puck comes back to Logan Stanley. Stanley makes a strong, confident decision, whips it over right across to Colin Miller. Miller takes the shot, Nedeljkovic with a massive rebound. And Scheifele is standing right next to Ryan Graves, who, by the way, had a really lousy game for the Penguins today. Ryan Graves was victimized along with his defensive partner, Ryan Shea. The two Ryans weren't great for Pittsburgh on the back end. And Scheifele is just there to take the rebound off from the Nedeljkovic, has inside position on Graves, and knocks it in to tie the game up at 2 goals apiece.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, we have to mention that, I like this comment by John Elliott because it's true, because this literally was good defense in the Jets zone, which began the play, right? Because that's what they did. They won a board battle, actually a couple of board battles, and then managed to get it, push it into the pen zone. But you really have to give credit where credit is due, because the conversation with Bryan Little when the Jets are down 2-1, that really, I'm not joking when I say this, and I'm not trying to like get hokey, but the truth is that there was it really increased. I mean, obviously I was inside the building for the first 2 periods, and him getting an opportunity to the fans got a chance to thank him when he went on the ice, and he did that kind of skater around, which was good for us because it was right in front of our seat in the press box. But the fact is that, they interviewed him afterwards. They had a conversation with them, and he got a chance to say thanks to the fans, and the fans, like I said, on social media, got a chance to thank him again, and kind of probably for the last time in this sort of, opportunity. We don't know. I mean, they could retire his jersey. They could do a lot of different things. So I'm not saying he's never come back.
They don't retire jerseys, or they don't.
But you know what I mean, though. Like whatever.
They don't retire numbers or whatever.
I don't mean like retire. I didn't mean like retire his number. I just meant like raise his jersey to the rafter. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm saying, you never know what could happen. But my point is that you could just sense that there was already excitement from the goal. And then they did that with Bryan Little, which again created a standing ovation. The crowd was into it. And like I said, I don't know the exact difference in time for when that interview went. Well, actually, I could tell you right now, Drew, because we have a little thing called the internet here where we recorded it. So we'll know exactly when the interview took place. So about 5 minutes later. So then the crowd got into it. They got pumped up. And like I said, there was a buzz in the building. And sure enough, Mark Scheifele, who, if we got to talk about Kyle Connor on pace for 62, Mark Scheifele with his 5th goal in 5 games, he's on pace for 82 goals. But that he is going to be focused, and that was a nice play by Scheifele. And obviously with those guys, you want to focus on their defense as well and not just what they're doing. But correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, was that the first 5-on-5 goal that that line had scored, I think, as a trio with the Gabe Vilardi, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele trio this season? I think that was their first 5-on-5 goal.
You're putting me to the test. You might be right now that I think about it. You might be right, because I guess the Scheifele one against the Blackhawks would have been with the net empty. No, it was 6-on-5. Yeah, so exactly. And then the other one would have been in overtime. So you might be right with that tidbit of knowledge there, Mr. Minnick. Right. So again, something we've been talking about, right? 5-on-5 play. The Jets look good. They look good against the Sharks, but you wanted to see against a bit better of a team, of course, against Pittsburgh. Yeah. So they do it, and again, started by what Scott Arniel is going to be very happy with. You had good presence of mind in your defensive zone. You get the puck up quickly, and you pass it around, and then sure enough, you get shots on net. Colin Miller, we talk about it, has a very good shot, blasts it away, and Mark Scheifele, to the point that you just made, had just gotten dumped by Graves, and then gets up, he's turned it around and puts it into the back of the net. And then just under 2 minutes later, the Jets make it 3-2. So talk about in a flurry, bang, bang, bang. Dennis Bayak hopefully was watching at home and was saying that aloud. Vlad Nemesnikov getting his 2nd of the year, assist to Nikolai Ehlers. And this is just Ehlers on display doing what he does best. So comes in with a clean zone entry. You can see how the speed that he enters the zone with forces the Penguins to back off a bit. So he gets the clean zone entry. And then the puck works its way around the board. So it's not a picture perfect anything at this point in time, but he steps up and he makes a great play, great aggressive play. He gaps up, as they like to say, along the boards. I guess that would be to the left of Nedeljkovic. He gaps up, he forces the turnover, he gets the puck, and he spots Vlad Nemesnikov just all alone at the side of the Penguins' net after forcing that turnover. I think he forces the turnover on Ellers, on Lars Ellers. So Dane on Dane crime, and not talking about Dane Cook because he's a crime against comedy. Is that you got Nikolai Ehlers finding Vlad Nemesnikov all alone behind the Tang, behind Marcus Pettersson. Boom, in the back of the net. Jets lead 3-2 at that point in time. Well, I'm okay. So you've broken the goal down, so I don't really need to. I just think I would credit Nikolai Ehlers for the aggressiveness with which he played that, because it could be a dangerous
play for the Jets because he's kind of holding the point, and he tries to keep it in. So he makes the aggressive play, but you get the reward for it. So, and the Jets are building, right? You're up 2-2. Sorry, you're not up 2-2. It's tied 2-2.
Yeah.
It's 4-on-4 because Lowry and O'Connor were in the box, if I recall correctly, for their little. Well, that was very funny by Lowry, because he was like, "Don't touch my goaltender."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just like the fact that it's 4-on-4. Ehlers recognizes what his speed can do, and he creates. And the Pens are expecting that puck to be out, so they're going the other way. And Ehlers finds Nemestikov, and it's a 3-2 game. And now the momentum is really in the Jets' favor, because that's coming, of course, with how much time was left in the game in the period? Sorry, there was.
At that point in time, there was 31 seconds to go in the period.
I was gonna say like 31 seconds. So
yeah,
I mean that's a pretty big. And Vlad Nemestikov, speaking of players, had been honored earlier in the first period, I think, because he scored his 300th NHL point in the last game.
There you go. So
it's
Jets
potpourri.
From down 2-0 early in the second period to be up 3-2 after 40 minutes, a quick turnaround for the Winnipeg Jets. I neglected to do this on the Kyle Connor goal. My immense apologies. Let me do this now.
The Seagram shot of the game.
The Kyle Connor goal, the Seagram shot of the game early to put the Jets back on the board to cut the lead in half. That happened in the second period. I could have given it to the next goal, but we usually try and give it to the Winnipeg Jets rather than their opponent. But the Penguins tie it up early in the third period, a minute 39 in. Lars Eller, as I foreshadowed earlier in the broadcast, his second of the game, his fourth of the season. And this is just an absolute bullet of a shot by Eller. He's using Logan Stanley as a little bit as a decoy and a screen, but he goes bar down, top shelf, short side on Eric Comrie. Just an absolute wicked shot, probably the best shot for a goal in today's game. And he tied it up at 3 goals apiece early in the third period, Dave. So a good fight back for Eller after he was victimized on the Ehlers to Nemesnikov goal.
Yeah, and again, the Penguins came out the right way, because the Jets, in theory, should have had the momentum. They had taken a 3-2 lead, especially a late goal to give them a 3-2 lead in that second period. And instead, there they are. You know, the Penguins are the ones who are pushing, and the Jets are sitting back a little bit to start that final frame. And yeah, you're right, Drew. I mean, it's just a beautiful shot by Eller, but the Jets not the best defense here, because there's a little, they're caught kind of almost anticipating. I think it was Nemestikov is that expecting that puck to be pulled out of the pile there. And was that the play when, I think, if I recall correctly, Colin Miller had gone for that big hit along the wall, and makes the hit. The only problem is he doesn't take the puck with him. and it's great. It's great to have a big hit, but you have to separate the man from the puck and not leave him with the puck and then continue your momentum out of the zone. So a bit of a mistake by Colin Miller there that leads to that opportunity for Lars Eller. And, again, you got to give Lars Eller credit, because that is a heck of a good shot. Logan Stanley tries to get in the way, doesn't, and he finds top corner. So that was a real good shot, but probably a goal that you don't like if you're the Winnipeg Jets, because you had numbers to really prevent it, and then you didn't prevent it. So
that's right. So 3-3 early in the third period. The Jets keep coming. It's Adam Lowry. It's 4:20 at the 4:20 mark. That's not an excuse to go get high, folks. At the 4:20 mark of the third period, Adam Lowry gets his second of the year, assist to Mason Appleton and Josh Morrissey. It starts with a clean face-off win. The puck back to Morrissey. Morrissey throws it towards the net, and I'll give Mason Appleton the credit that he was.
You better.
That he has eyes in the back of his head somehow and is able to redirect the pass from Morrissey onto the stick of Lowry. Lowry is in behind. It's Grizzlechick and it's I think Letang are the defense pairing here for the Penguins. Lowry gets position on both of them, and he backhands it past Nedeljkovic to regain the Jets the 4-3 lead. Just under 5 minutes into the third period.
Yeah, and again, you've regained your momentum, because it was an opportunity for Pittsburgh, the way they kind of came out, and the Jets looked similar to the way they looked in the second period, Drew, which was a little bit slow and a little standing around. So you like the fact that they were able to do this. And, like I said, to me, the funny part when I had asked Bryan Little was, how do you stay connected to this team? And how do you this was of course earlier in the afternoon, and his comment, one part of his comment says, I think I get into it just like any fan. Okay. That was his. And again, if you didn't get a chance to see the Bryan Little media availability, we've got it on our YouTube channel, and we've got it of course on illegalcurve.com. So not while we're on, but go check that out after, of course. But it was funny because they said, I get into it just like any other fan. And of course, I'm now home for the third period to watch the game on television. And sure enough, they're showing Bryan Little cheering in in one of the boxes, cheering just like any other fan. So rather funny that his words came true. And, Adam Lowry was trying to have an impact on the game. And you could see it early from his line. Like Niederreiter, like I said earlier in the broadcast, he had chances. Mason Appleton, he had some chances, but really smart play, knowing he's in tight. He can get that puck. He knows Lowry is open, and he gets it, over to him. And it's a great play. And it gives them a 4-3 lead. And again, they've stemmed the tide of the Penguins, and they've reignited the fans.
They have reignited the fans, and the fans go a little bit louder and a little bit more wild. 3 minutes and 21 seconds later, the proverbial insurance marker after the Lowry game-winning goal. Mason Appleton, his second of the year, assist to Neil Pionk. And what do we know about Neil Pionk? When he's playing his best, he's playing an aggressive, style of defense. He's manning up, he's stepping up, he's making plays and forcing turnovers, and that's what he does here. He forces the turnover, he gathers the line, he drops it to Appleton, he goes hard towards the net, like a freight train rolling downhill. Not a big man that he is, but still an aggressive net drive. And the shot from Appleton goes in off of the skate of, I believe it was Marcus Pettersson, but I could be wrong on that one at quick glance, but I'm pretty sure it was Pettersson. And it goes through Nedeljkovic's wickets on this one. Credit to Appleton for putting it on net. Credit for Neil Pionk, though, for forcing the turnover with his aggressive play at the blue line, getting it into the Jet zone, and then not peeling back, but going hard at the net and, drawing some attention there, and a fortuitous deflection, but a good goal for the Jets nonetheless to make it 5-3 at that point late in the, or about halfway through the third period, Dave.
Yeah, no, Drew, you're right. And a lot of the credit goes to Neil Pionk. And it's one of the things that, he was asked about, Scott O'Neill was asked about post-game, was that idea that is Neil Pionk playing a much more aggressive game in the first five. He was asked that by Jacob Stoller. And the answer, of course, is yes. He's been a lot more noticeable. He's been a lot more efficient, and he's contributing to wins. And this is one of those ways. This is a really nice, like Erik Karlsson's a little bit casual. I mean, he tries to make a nice play in the Jet zone, but you like the fact that Pionk anticipates it, cuts the pass off, really prevents it, because it's not the best pass anyways, but it's just a nice aggressive play. And you're right. He keeps on going, tries to create an opportunity to have that redirected in. I mean, it was, I actually thought to be honest with you, when I first watched it, I actually thought it was Pionk's goal from Appleton.
Well, I want to give credit to Dan Robertson on the broadcast, because I thought the same thing. But Dan Robertson on the broadcast immediately picked up that Pionk pointed at Appleton and said, "That's your goal." And Dan immediately, I think, altered his call, because I think everybody thought it was Pionk at first. And then he's such a quality broadcaster, he immediately knew that Pionk's reaction and his salute of Appleton made it clear that it was Appleton's goal, and he was able to pivot so quickly in the midst of basically the sentence to give the credit where it deserved to go to Mason Appleton for getting the goal.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it is funny though, because I agree with you, Drew. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm ready to, tweet from the IC account. I'm like, okay, Mason Appleton gets a nice assist on the Pionk goal. And it's like, oh no. And I did see Pionk pointing, but sure enough, like I said, he created the opportunity for that. And it goes in off the skate and passing to Nedeljkovic. So he's and that's kind of that's kind of a backbreaker for the Pittsburgh Penguins, because, look, a 4-3 hockey game is a lot different than 5-3. clearly. And so, that was real insightful. But the fact is that they, like I said, you could feel the emotion building in the building at this point. And now with Mason Appleton making it 5-3 with, whatever it was, how much, I think there's still about 13 minutes to go in the game.
12 minutes left, 12:20 left in the game. Yeah. So, the Jets played well in that final 12:20. They obviously get the empty net goal, and Nito Niederreiter gets his first of the year assist to Morrissey and DeMello. That's DeMello's first assist of the year as well. So the Jets, make it 6-3 with 2.5 minutes to go. But in that time frame, in that 10-minute period, I thought the Jets played pretty well in keeping the Penguins off the scoreboard and really out of the high danger areas. And Eric Comrie stepped up and made the saves that he needed to make. He made the saves at that point in those last 10 minutes in that 10-minute window so that the Penguins didn't get any thought about comeback. Because all of a sudden, if the Penguins get a goal a couple minutes after, it's back to being a 5-4 game. It's a totally different ball game for the final half of the third period. Instead, the Jets do what they've been doing so well for the last year plus, which is shutting down the opponent when it matters most and making things difficult and getting good goaltending. And that's what they do, allowing Niederreiter to eventually get the empty netter for the 6-3 win.
Well, and good buy-in from their team, because as I said, Josh Morrissey, I think Kevin Sawyer on the broadcast called it a 2-pad stack, but it was a nice play. Mm-hmm. Mark Scheifele also bailed out Eric Comrie because a puck landed right in front of the net. Probably would have been easier, relatively easy tap in. Mark Scheifele clears that puck. So there were, I like the commitment. It's similar to what we saw, on Connor Hellebuck night, where you saw the team was committed to making sure this goal, they would be structured and not chaotic. And we saw it again today. And look, 5-0, it's great. But I sticking with that idea, Drew, that these guys, really want Eric Comrie to succeed. I think that Eric Comrie wants to succeed. He's never had better success than in Winnipeg.
You're absolutely
the reason
right.
Why he keeps coming, it's why he keeps coming back here. But, and I've had look, one game is not we'll talk about it at the end of the season, what the Eric Comrie year looks like. Of course, he's up here for a 2-year deal. But I really didn't have any concerns with when he was named the backup to Connor Hellebuck. So, good first game for Eric Comrie. I thought he was real solid for the game throughout the course of this hockey game. I'm sorry. And so that's a good testament to him and to the teammates for, like I said, they had some lapses, but overall it was a pretty solid hockey game for the Winnipeg Jets.
6-3 final. The Jets win. They sweep the homestand 4 in a row, 5 in a row overall, as they are now the only NHL team to be undefeated in regulation.
Just like everybody predicted, Drew.
Just like everybody.
Predicted. Well, actually, I will say, though, to be honest with you, we did kind of say it, though. We did say that, there's a very good chance. Yeah, there is a good chance that they could be 5-0. Now, it's easy to say that. It's a different reality, but I'm just saying, they took advantage of the scheduling that was presented to them. We'll see if they can keep doing that, because the scheduling, of course, is going to get a lot more hard.
You're absolutely right about that. That's the Play Now game recap. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead. Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site, 18+. Enjoy responsibly. We come back. We wrap up the post-game show. We send you on your way on your Sunday evening. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk. The Jets win 6-3. Smash the like button while we're heading to commercial break, folks. We'll be right back on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Sunday evening, Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk. Game started in the afternoon. Post-game show went until the evening. That's how you bridge the two gaps between them. Jets next in action Tuesday. They head out on the road to St. Louis. Then a late night on Thursday against the Kraken before a Saturday night 6 o'clock local Winnipeg time start in Calgary against the Flames. Great start to the season. You really can't sugarcoat it much more than that, Dave. A great day in downtown Winnipeg. Everyone gets to salute Bryan Little. The team gets to get the home victory. Everything coming up aces for the Winnipeg Jets on this Sunday afternoon. A final thought from you before we wrap, because I have people at my house that are here for dinner now, so I really got to get going.
Okay, well, I'll try and I'll be quick with my thoughts, but
you can be.
Well, succinct is not something any of us here at Illegal Curve Incorporated have ever been very good at. But as my brother likes to say, brevity is the soul of wit. Yes. So we'll see if I can be like that. But look, I think it's a very strong start to the season from this Jets club, and they've done the things that Scott Arniel wanted them to do. They've managed to get rotating some new guys, get some fresh legs into the lineup, get Eric Comrie a start, so he's going to be feeling good. You give Connor Hellebuck a little bit of a break. That's pretty good. So I think you've achieved. It's been a very unusual schedule, right? We've talked about it. This is a 4-game homestand, but they've been home for like 30 days. So they're going to head out on the road, Drew, as you said, for 3. But I think you're very happy. They're going to practice tomorrow before they head to St. Louis. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a practice report, of course, for you. But I think it's a very good start to the season, from the Winnipeg Jets. Everything came out the way you wanted. So there's going to be a lot of good feelings, and you'll build on this, but banking 10 points early in the year is so significant because
they don't take the points away from you.
We said it all throughout last year when the Jets went on a similar start. They weren't this hot, but when they were on a similar start, so really good to be able to bank these points and have 10 in the standings bank already to be perfect is real good. We didn't really talk about the special teams today, but we can assess it another time. Yeah. But I would probably finish my thought, Drew, on Bryan Little. I just thought it was such a nice testament to a player who was so important to this city, a player so important. They still haven't found his replacement. They think they might have it eventually, but for now they still don't. So that's the final thought for me in terms of that. So, but like I said, if you didn't get a chance, I would definitely check out our various social media. We've got it on our Instagram. We've also got it posted, of course, in its entirety on YouTube and on our illegalcurve.com. I'm just going to say quick, Drew, just because I got to make a mention of it. I know you got people. I won't talk about the Moose game yesterday. Moose lost. They got swept by Grand Rapids. Braden Yager, but I think it's important. Important given today was would have been Rucker McGroarty's return. Yeah. He had a 4-point night for Moose Jaw yesterday, 2 goals, 2 assists for him. And he had a real good start. They lost the game in overtime, but he looked real good. And then Connor Levis, the 2023 7th rounder, he had 3 goals and 1 assist for his hometown Vancouver Giants. as they rolled to a 10-1 lead. So a quick prospects update. And if you want to see those, we've got them in the notes today on illegalcurve.com in the morning papers. I squeezed it all in. Go ahead, Drew.
There you go. That's it. Dave M, of course, gets to the last word as he so often should and does. Thanks to all of you for joining us. A big thanks to all of our sponsors for their support of Illegal Curve. Our friends at Play Now, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, Boston Pizza, and Seagram's support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. IllegalCurve.com is your destination for all your latest Jets and Moose news. The website, the YouTube channel, everything of Illegal Curve branded is a good resource for you to check out. We'll be next in action on Tuesday night after the Jets and the Blues right around 9:40 p.m. Until then, thanks everyone for joining us on this Sunday evening. Be well, be happy, stay healthy, all of that. For Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.